Comics are sort of like sports. You're either into them or you're not. Like the enjoyment of a baseball game, it's one of those things that gets passed down through the generations, from parent to child. It's a hobby that occupies your thoughts and imagination. Growing up, the normal kids were enjoying stories about princesses and pumpkins, mermaids and castles, where no matter how bad the situation was, there was always this insane guarantee that everything would work out. These dull, unimaginative fairy tales involved magic, and usually focused on dudes with better-than-perfect hair. These exceptionally charming guys were always doing the world a favor by slaying monsters, killing witches, and ultimately just sort of squirting testosterone at things. The princesses always either got themselves into trouble for being simple-minded and idealistic, or they were used as inanimate plot devices, tools of some nefarious political scheme that only a big, strong man could rescue them from. Why invest in that? I always wondered. What's the point? After all, I had Daredevil, Spider-Man, Wonder Woman, the X-Men, and the Fantastic Four. Unlike the former, these were complex, nuanced stories about characters who had problems, who pushed themselves hard for the greater good. People who tried, felt real pain, and didn't always get it right. But these same people were no less good or honorable for their own flaws and human failings. They were amazing to me because they could lose the war, even if they won the battle. You never knew that there was going to be a happy ending because there wasn't always a happy ending to be had. The Marvel titles hit me especially hard, and I think that's why I kept coming back. Until recently, I never felt out of place at my local comic shop, and I had never thought of the comic book industry, conventions, or the fans as anything other than caring, open, honest people that I always had something in common with. So imagine my shock as I traveled through the Midwest and found comic book store after comic book store where the culture was just wrong. Instead of something that was wide open and accessible to anyone, I found places where women were talked down to, places where gay and trans comic fans were simply not welcome, and an atmosphere that catered exclusively to middle-aged straight white dudes who prefer their comics to be just a little more like those girly fairy tales we talked about earlier. Even though these old white guys routinely pay lip service to the same titles I grew up with and loved, I still got the impression, the more often I talked to them, that they never understood any of it, if they actually read them at all. It probably wouldn't be so bad if the problem was small and only isolated to just a few shops in the Bible Belt, but it's not. It's bigger than you think. Well organized and centrally coordinated online, these people call themselves Comicsgate. They consider themselves a movement, but they've also been called serial harassers and online terrorists. Their behavior on social media at this point is well known, and they've driven an entire industry, one that was previously among the most transparent industries in history, into silence, stifling online marketing efforts and holding up forward momentum across the board. This is especially true on platforms like YouTube, where they face little, if any, opposition. But who are they? What do they want? Is there any truth in their wild claims? What does it mean to be a fan in 21st century America? What's this fight really about? Is there still room for everyone? Where's it all going? In an effort to best answer these questions and others, we're going to speak extensively about the ongoing crisis of identity in comics fandom. My name is Melissa Morgue, and this is The Feminist Fangirl.